So 2025 is off and humming, and I was doing an assessment, and I think I lost about $120,000 in 2024. That's my estimate based off of this fact, and that is that I did not get coaching in a certain area sooner. I had been having, if you've noticed on my website, and if you have listened to the podcast at all over the past couple of years, you probably noticed that the name of the podcast has changed a little bit. First, it was just a Stephen Corson show, had that for a long time. And then as I started my business, I wanted something to kind of really represent like a brand value. But I was still trying to figure out what the company was going to. I called it Corson Solutions, but that's my holding company. So I was like, I didn't know, blah, blah, blah. So that was what I did a lot in 2024. A lot of it was getting the fundamentals of my business set up and going, continuing the things like the podcast and some other stuff that had been beneficial to it as well. But in November, really in October, what ended up happening, and this was my big mistake. In October, I sat back and I realized, my business had been going well, but it wasn't going as well as I knew it could be. Like the amount of effort that I was putting into leads and marketing and some of these other things, I was like, I should be getting a better return on this. Why not? Or at least that was my hunch. Okay. So then what I ended up doing is I went back and I just kind of did a self-assessment. And this is kind of the theme of what I want to talk about today, is the fact that sometimes in order to go forward, you need to go inward. And this isn't just about owning a business. This is about anything in your life as well. A lot of times, if we want to develop, if we want to get better at anything, it could be your marriage, it could be your business, it could be being a better doctor and skills, it could be being a better parent or pickleball player, whatever the case is. A lot of times that starts with inward mindset, your why, different things like that. And I had thought, I know sales, okay? That's my background. I'm good at this. I know strategy. I'm good at that. But the thing that I had to really come to grips with is that I don't know marketing. And obviously that is a super broad term, just like sales is a very broad term. Like there's a lot of things that fall under marketing. But in general, specifically when it came down to, positioning yourself and building a brand. So I signed up for this group called Brand Builders Group, led by a guy named Rory Vaden and his wife, AJ. Fantastic. And one of the things that I realized going through this is I was like, I could have figured everything out that I've learned in the past 3 months with them. Every single thing, nothing has been particularly, I never would have noticed that, okay? Yeah, maybe they have some techniques and I wouldn't have known exactly that. But in general, enough Google searches, enough Chat GPT interactions, enough, talking to other people and having lunch and seeking out experts and individual phone calls. Like I could have figured all of this out. I have zero doubt. But this is where I screwed up. And this is where I think it cost me, like I said, I'm estimating about $120,000 in 2024. And that is the fact that I waited too long to work with them. I probably could have signed up with them 6 months sooner and got answers that I needed faster. And that would have accelerated my business. I probably would have been getting more leads. I probably would have had better clarity around my messaging and some of the other things. And I think that with, the time frame of the 6 months that I had left, I think that's probably what it would have, kind of equated to based off the results that I'm seeing now. So why do I bring this up? Why am I talking about an experience that I had? So no, it's not that I straight up lost $120,000, but it's kind of an opportunity cost in some ways. And why didn't I do that? Well, I had to go inward, and a lot of it was pride. I was just like, I can figure this stuff out. Like there's so many resources. And by the way, I wasn't wrong. I was figuring this out. It was just taking me longer. All right. And this is something that we talk about all the time. We have to trade money in order to get back time and energy and attention and focus. Like that is a crucial part of building the life that you want. Scarcity mindset is built upon the foundation that there is no greater value than money in your bank. And that's just not true. So that was something that I think was really big, is I had to look at it and I had to say, I had to just kind of humble myself a little bit and say, yeah, you know what? I can figure this out. But number one, I'm not going to do it as quickly. And guess what? I'm not going to do it as well either than if I went and got coaching on it. I mean, this is literally what I do, right? I'm an executive coach, but in, a different area. But all they did was the exact same thing I do, on branding and marketing. So the reason that I'm saying this is because it's a general principle that I think matters a lot. And it's something that we talk about in the Life Builder Mastermind called dangerous conversations. You need to have dangerous conversations with yourself if you want to grow, if you want to make change, if you want to build the life you want. And what are dangerous conversations? Dangerous conversations are when you are asking yourself questions about why things are the way they are in your life. And part of going down that journey of self-discovery is the fact that you have to come to a place eventually with whatever you're asking yourself of one of two things. Like the inevitable conclusion comes down to there is something within your control that you're not doing. And now that you have to face that truth, like if your marriage is on the rocks and you and your spouse have not talked, in the past week, okay, have you gone and been the first one to say you're sorry and that you messed up? Or are you still holding on to the fact that, they started this thing, or they're being totally unreasonable, or whatever your justification is, okay? Is your pride that much stronger than the result of like getting back with your best friend and getting back on good terms? All right. It's the same thing when it comes to working out. How many of us at the new year had weight loss goals? And it's like, why? It's February. 92% of people are either behind or have given up on their goals already. Like it's a shocking statistic, but it's true. Okay. Why? Why are you behind on your weight loss goals? Why are you behind on your fitness journey already a month in? Okay. At some point, you have to sit there and have a dangerous conversation with yourself, and you have to ask, am I capable of doing this by myself? If nothing changes, then nothing changes. Okay, so if I've had weight loss goals before, maybe I've never had a weight loss goal before, and I've never done this before, maybe at some point, I need to accept the fact that I need help, okay? Another element of dangerous conversations is going, well, how important is this to me? How important is getting things rectified with my spouse? How important is my weight loss goal? How important is starting that business plan that I wanted to do? How important is, you have to ask that question, because then it's going to come down to this, and it's going to go back to where I was last year. And it's going to go to, okay, do I want this bad enough to spend money on it? In my program, one of the things we talk about in the 7th step of the Clarity Machine is the step of accountability. And there is what I call the gauge of super seriousness, because I love irony, right? So you got to give it an unserious name. Anyway, I digress. But the point is, in the gauge of super seriousness, you have essentially 4 levels of accountability. You have no accountability, which is for things that aren't really that important to you. You have a little bit of accountability, which would be something like telling a friend or maybe posting about it on Facebook, hey, watch my fitness journey, whatever the case is. You're just kind of letting some people know, calling up, your friend or maybe one of your parents saying, hey, I'm going to do this in the next 30 days. Can you, can we schedule some time at the end of the month and you just call me, see how I'm doing? And even that is proven to be effective. But if you really want to get results, I'm talking like 70 to 95% chances, and I'm not making that number up, these are shown in studies, that 70 to 95% success rates, if you are getting accountability at least on a weekly basis, that is the likelihood of your success, 70 to 95%. Then you have to get paid accountability. Those are the 2 types. You have personal accountability, you have paid accountability. Personal is what I just talked about. It's getting friends. It's like documenting a journey on social media, so you have that peer pressure, and it works. I'm not saying that it doesn't. But if you want the big increase, if this is something you're like, this is really important to me, this is something that is a non-negotiable. I need to get my money right. I need a new financial system. We need somebody to help with investing in my investment plans, blah, 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 all of that. Then you need to pay someone. The end. There's no way around it. And the reason for that, I have given away, when I started my career, there was a little course that I had that just helped with some, like a basic financial monetary system. And just to help people out, I gave it away for free to close to, if not a little bit more than 100 people. And I gave it to them for free because I knew they were in financial straits. And I was like, here, just take it. Okay. Do you know how many people out of those 100 finished the course? Because I can see it on the back end. I know exactly how many. Take a guess. One out of 100 who had a problem. Like, these are people coming to me. They're like, Stephen, this is a huge pain point in my life. I need to get this fixed. I don't know what to do. Blah, blah, blah. Can you help me? We're broke. We don't have any money. Yeah, I got this course. It will take you 2.5 hours, a Wednesday night, binge watching some TV shows. Like, you can't make this much less of like a low-hanging fruit, like a faster time to value than something like that. It's like, yeah, just take a Wednesday night. Do it on your weekend. Do an hour, 2 nights a week. It's so easy. And only one person out of 100 finished it. Why is that? Well, when people paid for it, it was in like the 70th percentile of people that finished it. So the discrepancy is when you pay for something, it goes with the old saying, right? Put your money where your mouth is. We are literally saying, this is more important to me than money. I need this result, and it's more important to me than money. And for the majority of us, when you grow up, and it doesn't really have anything to do with whether or not you are poor or rich or anything like that. I know very wealthy people who have a scarcity mindset when it comes to money. So don't think like, that you're immune to that. All right. But we are conditioned by society, and the society that we live in, that money is the most important resource that we have out of our teams, our 5 most precious resources: the time, energy, attention, money, and soul. We are conditioned by society that is number 1, and it's wrong. It is not. Okay. Money is useful. We need it, and it's helpful in getting us other aspects of our teams, and it's useful in getting us more money if we use it right. I didn't get with brand builders to all of a sudden just be like, yeah, I'm going to give you money so I can get, more time, attention, and, energy and all this other stuff back. Like, no, like I paid them because, yeah, I'm going to get a lot of that time, energy, and attention back, but I also want to make more money, and I am. So the same thing goes for you. At the end of the gauge of super seriousness, if you are like, this is something that's incredibly important to me, I need to get this result, then there's 2 different levels of paid that I would encourage you to look at. The first would be some type of mastermind. This is what I have set up with Life Builder. There are so many great masterminds. It's what I'm in with Brand Builders Group. So this is group coaching. The thing that's so great about group coaching is the fact that depending on what it is you're working towards, you are not just like, yeah, I know it's a group session, but you're in a group with people who are all kind of working on the same stuff. Even if you're in different industries or in different places in life or whatever the case is, not only do you tend to learn a lot from whoever it is that's running the group, but you tend to learn a lot from the group too. And I've been on calls to where, I just sit there. I don't actually talk for the entirety of the call, but I learn through other people's questions because I have a lot of the same questions. So that's something that's really good. And then it's a lot more affordable than if you just did one-on-one coaching, which is the next one. If you have something and maybe, there's a level of sensitivity to it, maybe you're working in your business, you don't want the data out somewhere, or maybe, there's just things of a personal nature that you don't want out for whatever reason, and you want to do one-on-one coaching, then you can absolutely do that. But if you want to be successful, you have to have a dangerous conversation with yourself, and you have to get to the point and say, is the result that I want, the goal that I have with whatever this is this more important than a little bit of money to me? And you just have to be honest with yourself. Like, that's the hard thing about dangerous conversations sometimes is it's the honesty factor, because then we want to go, oh no, it is important to me. Like, and I totally would pay money for that, Stephen, but I just can't right now. The stock market's down, crypto's crashing. I just got laid off from my job recently, blah, blah, blah. Like, we can always find the excuses. They will always be there. We can always find the excuses. But at the end of the day, if that's where it's coming, okay, honest conversations. You have to be honest with yourself. Are those really the reasons that you can't sign up for whatever the group training is? Is that really the reason you can't go out and, try to find an even cheaper solution than the one you were looking for? Or is it just another excuse that you have to be complacent and stay where you are? All right. So that's something that I just had kind of been on my heart recently that I wanted to bring up. It's the beginning of February right now. If you are at a point with your goals, maybe you didn't have clear goals, by the way. Maybe you're like, Stephen, I didn't really set goals. Well, that's your first problem. You need to get clarity on your goals. Otherwise, you'll never know what you're shooting for. How stupid would it be if you said, well, I'm going to go on a road trip, but I'm not going to pick a destination. I'm just going to drive somewhere. You'll get somewhere, but you'll never know where you're trying to get to until you get there. And then you probably wouldn't have got there as quickly as you could, right? Again, it's asinine. Nobody's going to do that. So don't set goals, get clear on it, and then ask yourself, have a dangerous conversation, figure out how important is this to you to make this change and to achieve this goal. And if it is, then you need to go out and you need to pay somebody. Simple as that. Once you start doing coaching in whatever form it is, whether it's the form of therapy, whether it's the form of, like I said, executive coaching, whether it's in the form of personal training, whatever the type of coaching is that I'm talking about, right? I'm just talking about bringing in an expert. Doesn't have to be somebody with the title coach in there. But, LeBron James is one of the greatest basketball players ever. He's 40 years old. He knows more about the game of basketball than just about any human being on the planet. And he still has a coach. And he spends over $1 million on nutrition and, personal workouts in the off season and all these other things. Why? Hasn't he been doing this long enough to where he's got to figure it out? No, because he realizes spending that money and making that investment is only going to help him get more time, more energy, more attention, more money, probably more soul because he's doing more fulfilling things with his life. And that's exactly how we need to look at this. So just remember, if you are somewhere, get clarity on what you want, and then go inward, go forwards, and go have a dangerous conversation with yourself.